Yeah. There's 20 violations to be heard besides this. Some of them can be dismissed. They can be corrected.
Mine went into like a hole. It like,
Yeah, like,
yeah.
Renee. Why are these rubber band up? Does that mean anything? For the first ticket? That means what to me? All of these. This one case. Kind of. What is Mike? Don't be changing up the game.
Okay, but I'm not, oh, here. Dan, are we ready? Okay. Good evening. Good evening. My name is Kristen Ike. I'm the Code Enforcement Special Magistrate of the City of Deltona, and I'm calling the Special Magistrate hearing of November 20th, 2024 to order. The first thing on the agenda is roll call, so I will have all of the code compliance officers introduce themselves.
Danny Ron, Code Compliance Manager.
Sharon Shivers, Fire Marshal.
Sam Scheller, Assistant Fire Marshal.
Gemma Torsivia, City Attorney.
Mark Gibson, Code Compliance Supervisor.
Jessica Cotterman, Hearing Clerk.
Renee Kearney, Building and Code Compliance Supervisor.
Todd Mead, Code Compliance Supervisor.
Sheer Jersey Code Compliance. Nicholas Lopez, Code Compliance Officer.
Okay. If you'll please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on the agenda is my statement about how the hearing is going to run this evening. And forgive me, I'm going to read this so I don't forget anything. We are here tonight because the City of Deltona has contended that there are violations of the Deltona City Code that exist. This is a public meeting, which means that no general public comment will be accepted, but each of the respondents and the code enforcement officers here tonight, and any witnesses each of you call, will be able to present evidence to me regarding each case and the violations of the Deltona City Code that are being alleged. I am an attorney and appointed by the City Commission to render decisions in these code enforcement cases to determine if a violation of the city code exists and what fine will be imposed, if any. If you are here for a Massey case, you might see that next to your case number on the agenda. That means that I will be determining solely whether you have come into compliance in a timely manner in accordance with the previous order the special magistrate issued in your case, and will not be reopening the case to determine whether or not a violation existed in the first place. Any decision I make this evening will be put into a written format in the form of an order. A copy of my written order will be provided to the city and then mailed to you as well. It is important to note that for any order I issue, you may appeal by sending a written notice of appeal to the Circuit Court within 30 days of the execution of my order pursuant to Florida Statutes, Section 162.11. The procedure of the hearing today will be governed by Chapter 162 Florida Statutes. Formal rules of evidence shall not apply, but fundamental due process shall be observed and shall govern the proceedings. Hearsay is admissible, but only to support other competent and substantial evidence. If you are a respondent, you will be able to testify, tell me what you think I need to know about your case, present evidence and witnesses. Your testimony will be under oath, so I will be swearing you in, and this hearing is being recorded. For each case, I will call the case number, and the city will proceed first. The city has the burden of proving that the code violation exists. Then you will be allowed to respond. For each case, I intend to admit the case file and the PowerPoint that is shown on the screen. You should have received a copy of your case file when you signed in this evening. If you did not, please let me know when you come up, and I will admit the case file and PowerPoint presentation unless a specific objection is received. I will generally take the cases in the order that you signed in tonight, first come, first served. And I do have a couple of cases that have been withdrawn or continued, so I'm going to go ahead and announce those. The withdrawn cases are DEL 24-108, 108B, 1697 Doyle Road, and DEL 24-104, 2090 Saxon Boulevard, DEL 24-106, A and B, 869 Roberts Boulevard. And the continued cases are Fire 061-2024 for 950 Doyle Road and DEL 24096, 1385 Comerwood Drive. So if you're here for any of those cases I just called, you do not need to stay. You can leave for the evening. I will go ahead and swear in everyone who intends to testify today as a group, which includes the code compliance officers. So if you intend to provide testimony to me and talk to me this evening, please stand, raise your right hand. Stand if you're able. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say I do. Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. The first case I have is a Massey case, Fire 24-0053, 1805 Elkham Boulevard.
For the record, my name is Lisa Nadeau. I am employed by the City of Deltona as a fire safety inspector. This will be case number Massey Fire 053, 2024. The City of Deltona versus CO Realty Income Corp. The property address is 1805 Elkham Boulevard, Deltona, Florida 32725. Parcel ID is 813-015-160010. This is a Massey case. The statutory requirements for the notification of this hearing have been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code violation sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted at City Hall and on the property at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the special magistrate clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day they were taken. This was initially a case for a violation of Chapter 42, Article 4, Fire Codes Chapters 14 through 186, which adopts the latest edition of the Florida Fire Prevention Code. In specific, the Florida edition of NFPA 1, Chapter 1.7.12.10, which states no construction work shall proceed until the AHJ has reviewed the plans for compliance with the applicable codes and standards and the applicable permits have been issued. It was ruled on September 25th, 2024, that the property owner was given 30 days to comply. The owner did not come into compliance within those 30 days and has been receiving a fine of $50 a day since October 26, 2024. As of today, the property has accrued a total fine of $1,300 over 26 days. The city is requesting that the fines continue at $50 per day until such property owner has notified the city of compliance and compliance is verified by a fire safety inspector.
All right, thank you. So what is the status of permit?
I don't believe they've,
This is a case for failure to obtain a permit, correct?
yes.
Okay,
Yes, if I may, Your Honor.
yes?
On July 15, 2004, we did have a permit application submitted for this work. The permit was rejected the following day on July 16, 2024. Yesterday, we do show that the building department did receive a submittal at some point yesterday. It has not been forwarded to plan review staff yet.
Okay. All right, so it's the testimony that the permit has not been obtained yet.
That's correct.
Okay. Is there anything else that you needed to add from the city? Okay. Do we have the property owner's representative here on Zoom? Oh. Can you hear me?
Yes, is this the 55 Cortland Boulevard case?
No. This would be 1805 Elkham Boulevard. This is not your case, sir?
Oh, sorry, my fault.
Okay. Do we have someone here for this, the property owner for this case? I'm confused.
I think this is their counsel, so we should just verify. Maybe he didn't hear us.
Okay, sir, can I just, this case is for 1805 Elkham Boulevard. Is that not the case that you're here for on Zoom? And I'm only asking because I was told before we started that there was an attorney present for this case on Zoom. So I want to be sure. Can you hear me, sir?
We're going to check the light too right now.
Okay.
Gary, yes, I can hear you. I didn't recognize the case number. I don't think this is my case.
This case is, I'm sorry, this case is fire 24-0053 for 1805 Elkham Boulevard. It's related to a Circle K store, correct, Ms. Nadeau?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm assuming he can't hear me. Yes? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. It's just she called the wrong case. I'm DEL-24-085 A, B, and C.
Okay.
I cannot hear the magistrate. Yes.
Okay, sir, yeah,
Right now I
I'm
can't hear anybody.
speaking. You can't hear me? All right. Well, let's,
I'm I can hear you now.
Okay. All right, so then we do not have anyone present for Fire 24-0053, which is 1805 El Cam Boulevard. I'm just making sure. Anyone in the audience for that case?
The new one?
No. Okay.
Okay, sorry. Do you have anything that I can...
All right. You already presented for that, so we'll go ahead and we'll finish that. Let's finish that case. All right, so I'll go ahead and make my ruling. Give me 1 second.
It's property maintenance.
For those fire. Bashir. That's the both gentlemen. Okay.
See the top of the bottom part is for reading.
Okay, thank you. All right. I find that respondent in this case failed to correct the violation by the time specified in the special magistrate's prior order in this case, and the fine will be imposed as set forth in that order and will continue to run until the property is brought into compliance and an affidavit of compliance has been filed by the code compliance officer. A respondent shall notify the code compliance officer to verify compliance. I'm admitting the case file and PowerPoint, and I find the notices were properly given in this case. Thank you. Okay. Now we're going to go to DEL 24-085, A, B, and C, a Massey case for 55 Cortlandt Boulevard. And this is the one you are here for, sir, correct?
Yes, that is my case, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, thank you. Sorry about the confusion there.
Has my case been presented yet?
No? Do we have...
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, can you hear me? Ms. Shivers, is someone presenting from... Oh, this is the... Okay, thank you. All right. Yeah, I think they went... Just give us a moment, sir. I'm sorry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Bashir Turkzi. I'm employed by the City of Deltona as a Code Compliance Officer. This will be Massey case number DEL 24-085ABC. City of Deltona versus Dollar Tree Store, Inc. The property address is 55 Cortlandt Boulevard, Deltona, Florida 32738. Parcel ID number is 813065. The owner did not come into compliance within those 61 days and has been receiving a fine of $150 a day since October 28, 2024. As of today, the property, no application has been submitted for the permits, and as you can see, the main entrance is still in disrepair.
Okay, so remind me, the applications...
P is in Paul, ALOMBIZIO, and I represent Family Dollar and Dollar Tree. They are the rentor of the property. I'd like to represent today that I spoke with my client and they informed me that all applications for the permitting have been passed on to the third-party vendors who installed it. I know that they're working at a snail's pace, but it's an issue of receiving those applications back from those third-party vendors. So from here, it's just coordinating with those businesses. And I have no evidence to present today.
Okay. So you're saying essentially they're requesting the contractors that installed those things,
Yes, that's correct.
to come back and get an after-the-fact permit?
That is correct. That
Okay.
we're just waiting on their responses back. There was some back and forth. There was one contractor who was in the path of the hurricane, but I can't speak to the other ones involved. So I guess we're just at the mercy of the third-party contractors.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anything else from the city?
No, thank you.
No? All right. I'm going to go ahead and find respondent in this case failed to correct the violation by the time specified in the special magistrate's prior order in this case, and the fine will be imposed as set forth in that order, and will continue to run until the property is brought into compliance and an affidavit of compliance has been filed by the code compliance officer. Respondent shall notify the code compliance officer to verify compliance. I'm admitting the case file and PowerPoint presented today as evidence, and I find the notices were properly given in this case. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. The next case is Fire 24-0062, 1235 Providence Boulevard.
For the record, my name is Lisa Nadeau. I am employed by the City of Deltona as a fire safety inspector. This will be case number Fire 062-2024. The City of Deltona versus ECA Volusia, Providence Partners. Property address is 1235 Providence Boulevard, Suites PQ, Deltona, Florida 32725. Parcel ID is 813-00506-00110. This is a violation of City of Deltona Ordinance, Chapter 42, Article 4, Fire Codes, Chapters 42 through 186, which adopts the most recent edition of the Florida Fire Prevention Code, as adopted by the State Fire Marshal, which contains the Florida-specific version of NFPA Chapter 1.7.12.10. No construction work shall proceed until the AHJ has reviewed the plans for compliance with the applicable codes and standards and the applicable permits have been issued. Corrective action for said violation is to obtain a permit and complete required inspections for the new electrical wiring that was installed. The statutory requirements for this notification of this hearing have been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code violations were sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted on the property and at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the special magistrate clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day they were taken. On September 26, 2023, I conducted a fire safety inspection at this address where I observed the above-mentioned violations. The property owner was notified in writing of the violations and given a time frame to correct said violations. Subsequent re-inspections on April 3, 2024, July 5, 2024, July 31, 2024, October 4th, 2024, and October 17th of 2024 found no progress on the noted violations. Upon today's site visit, no progress was made on the violations. The city would like to request 45 days for the property to come into compliance, or a fine of $50 per day until the violation has been brought into compliance and the property owner notifies the inspector of compliance.
Okay, did you just say 45 days? And is that what you said, 45?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, can you explain what I'm looking at, what was added without the permit? I see some electrical wiring, but...
Yes, so the metal conduit coming down was brand new, just installed, and that was towards the end. So that was was done without a permit. And the original picture, if you come down, it used to be at another location about 3 feet away, and then they moved it over. And that's in the back where the breaker box is. They used to have wire that came down and was running along the wall to another outlet, and then they cleaned it up and put it there. That was the hole where the original conduit was coming down from the ceiling inside the dining area. Which that one over there showing now is the one that was moved over like 3 feet.
Okay. All right, anything else for the city? All right, sir, can you state your name and address for the record?
My name is Joel Squitieri. I'm here representing ECA, Beligo, and East Coast Management, the owners and property management.
Okay.
For the plaza. We're not the actual tenant, but we do own the plaza and manage the plaza. This is a small business. They've been there about 10 years. They haven't had any prior incidents, but I know this has been going on for a while, and they did have quite a few violations, and I believe they cleared up most of them except for this last one, and they've been having a lot of trouble. They did try to have a contractor pull a permit recently, and he failed 2 times. I'm not sure why. At this point, we decided to go ahead and engage our electrician that handles a lot of our plazas and have him pick up on it. And he told us he should be able to have a permit filed by the end of this week.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and step in and take care of it for them and get everything corrected.
Okay, and so you believe the 45 days should be sufficient time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to tell me?
No, that's it.
All right. I will go ahead and make the ruling then. I find respondent in this case in violation of the city code as charged, and that respondent correct the violation before 4:00 p.m. on, now this is going to be 47 days because it would otherwise fall on a weekend, so it'll be January 6th, 2025.
Got it.
Okay, and in the event respondent does not comply by the state, a fine in the amount of $50 per day will be imposed for each day the violation continues past the aforestated date. Respondent is further ordered to contact the code compliance officer to verify compliance with this order. So please make sure you stay in contact with her and let her know when you come into compliance. And for the record, I'm admitting the case file in the PowerPoint, and I find the notices were properly given in this case. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, the next case is DEL 24-108, A, B, and C, 1697 Doyle Road.
Good evening. My name is Bashir Turkzi. I'm employed by the City of Deltona as a code compliance officer. This will be case number DEL 24-108A. DEL 24-108B has come into compliance.
I see that, yes, thank you.
The City of Deltona versus Margaret M. Buckler. Property address is 1697 Doyle Road, Deltona, Florida 32725. Parcel ID number is 813023090060. This is a violation of the City of Deltona Ordinance Section 18.3, adopting the latest edition of the Florida Building Code Section 105.1, which states that any owner authorized agent who intends to construct, enlarge, alter, repair, move, demolish, or change the occupancy of a building or structure, or to erect, install, enlarge, alter, repair, remove, convert, or replace any electrical, gas, mechanical, or plumbing system, the installation of which is regulated by this code, or to cause any such work to be done, shall first make application to the building official and obtain the required permit. Corrective action for said violation is to obtain a permit for the storage shed. Applications must be submitted to the City of Deltona, 2345 Providence Boulevard, Deltona, Florida, 32725. The structure must meet all requirements of city ordinance and be approved on final inspection. Contact our office with the permit number when obtained. The statutory requirements for notification of this hearing have been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code violation being sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted on the property and at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the special magistrate clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day they were taken. This is a proactive case that was opened on June 18, 2024. While addressing other violations in this area, I observed the storage shed installed in the back of this property without a permit on file. I spoke with the property owner on several occasions and advised her of the corrective actions. A notice of violation was posted on July 7, 2024, and the property was given until July 17, 2024 to come into compliance. As of today, no permit has been obtained and the property remains in violation. The city would like to request 30 days for the property to come into compliance or a fine of $50 per day to be imposed until such time that the property owner has notified the city of compliance.
Okay, has the permit been applied for? I'm just
No.
curious. No? Okay.
As of today, no application has been submitted.
Okay. This structure, do you anticipate that that will require any kind of engineering drawings for that? And the only reason I ask is for the time for compliance.
No, it shouldn't be required.
Okay.
For a shed, all you need is a survey of the property, and yeah.
Okay. All right, is the property owner here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, would you like to come forward? Can you state your name and address for the record?
Margaret Buckler, 116 Amanthus Court, DeLand, Florida.
Okay.
Oh, and the property is 1697 Doyle Road.
Okay, thank you. What would you like to tell me about the case?
Well, thank you for hearing me. So we received the notice in July that the shed was, that I needed to get a permit. And I came down immediately to the City Hall to get the paperwork. And I spoke with Brandon, and he was very helpful. So he said that I needed to get a survey. That was the first thing I had to do. Well, my safe was locked. I lost the combination. My husband had passed away. And anyway, so it took me a couple weeks to get into the safe, which I did. And so I got the permit. I came back and saw Brandon. He met with a Chad Tate, and he went and looked at the shed, and anyway, it was determined that the property, the shed cannot stay there because it's on a dead-end alley, and Chad didn't have a problem with it being there, but anyway, so Chad had talked to Jessica. These are all the different people over the weeks that I've talked to, and they said it would have to be moved. They tried to figure out a place because I own the other property and a lot, but there's no place that we can put the shed on that property. So after that was determined, the shed is my son's, and he lives in Port Orange. Well, then on top of it all, the hurricane hit, and he had 2.5 feet of water in his home. So we're dealing, he's still not in his home yet. And anyway, so we do have a possible buyer for the shed, and we do plan on moving it out. And I just ask for a little bit more grace if that would be possible.
Okay, so it sounds like is it within a setback or something like that it can't stay in that location?
Correct, yeah. It's an
Okay.
alley in the back, and it basically prevents all the, there's a big waste pro truck that has to get in there to get access to the dumpsters, and it's very tight in there.
Okay. All right. Is the city opposed to extending it to 60 days to allow for her to have a time to hopefully
Yes,
get the
okay.
sale and get this transferred? Okay.
City's okay with
All right. Ma'am, do you believe that would be a reasonable time to
Yes.
comply?
Thank you very much.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and make my ruling then. I find respondent in this case in violation of the city code as charged, and that respondent correct the violation before 4:00 p.m. on, and again, this is actually 61 days because it would fall on a weekend, so it would be January 20th of 2025.
Thank you very much.
Okay. In the event respondent does not comply by the state, a fine in the amount of $50 per day will be imposed for each day the violation continues past the aforestated date. Respondent is further ordered to contact the code compliance officer to verify compliance with this order. So please make sure you stay in contact with the code compliance officer and let him know when it gets moved. And for the record, I'm omitting the case file in the PowerPoint into evidence, and I find the notices properly given in this case.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next case is DEL 24-107, 1691 Rim Avenue.
Good evening. My name is Bashir Turkzi. I am employed by the City of Deltona as a code compliance officer. This will be case number DEL 24-107, City of Deltona versus Banjo Stephen Robert, Banjo Zachary. Property address is 1691 Rim Avenue, Deltona, Florida 32738. Parcel ID number is 813036230210. This is a violation of the City of Deltona Ordinance Section 18.5, IPMC 304.1, Housing Code Roofs. City of Deltona Ordinance Section 18.5, adopting the latest edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, Section 304.1, which states that the exterior of a structure shall be maintained in good repair, structurally sound and sanitary so as to not pose a threat to the public health, safety, or welfare. Corrective action for said violation is to repair, replace, or maintain in good repair any exterior surfaces, in this case the roof, and the removal of tarps. Obtain permits if required. The statutory requirements for notification of this hearing have been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code violation being sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted on the property and at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the special magistrate clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day they were taken. This is a proactive case that was opened on December 11, 2023, after noticing several tarps covering the roof of this property. The property owner was made aware of the city's programs and grants available to them that can assist them with their roof repairs, and was given an extension after applying for one of those programs.
That is not true.
On August 7, 2024, I was notified that the property owner did not qualify for the city's assistance and a door hanger was left informing them of the corrective actions. A notice of violation was posted on November 4th, and the property owner was given until November 12, 24 to come into compliance. As of today, the property remains in violation. The city would like to request 60 days for the property to come into compliance or a fine of $50 per day to be imposed until such time that the property owner has notified the city of compliance.
Okay. Can you explain what I'm looking at? It looks like the tarp, is it a tarp that's over basically the entire roof? Some of the pictures are different.
It was done by Operation Blue Roof.
Okay. Ma'am, I will give you a chance, just a moment. I'm going to...
You asked me a question I was trying to answer. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was asking the city. I will give you a chance in just a moment. Can you explain?
Sure. This is the initial picture, the older picture when December 11, 2023.
Okay.
This is when the tarp was covering the one side, half of the roof at that time. But after the two hurricanes, of course, that tarp has been shredded to pieces, and a new one has just been installed recently, as you can see it in today's picture.
Okay. And as part of the case also, are you looking at the, I guess, the soffits there that are kind of coming down?
Correct, ma'am. The entire integrity of the roof, basically.
Okay. All right, ma'am. Can you state your name and address for the record?
My name is Janet Benjo, 1691. It's wrong on the paper, by the way. Rim Avenue, Deltona, Florida, 32738.
Okay.
I am married to Stephen Benjo, and Zachary Benjo is my minor child, the person you served. Stephen Benjo is in palliative care, hospice care. And so I do have power of attorney for him. If you need it or need to see it, I do have that.
Okay.
But that's my name.
All right.
Benjo.
Okay. And so what would you like to tell me about the case?
He said something, and I read something in this paperwork that said that somebody had applied for something, and they were told that we were not qualified for it.
Didn't qualify for it?
Never heard about anything like that.
Okay.
Never received a certified letter. The only notice I got was what was taped on my door. The front door isn't used much, and I believe I've talked to him before, but anyway, the roof that is on there now, that's vinyl. It's not a tarp. It is done by the Army Corps of Engineers Blue Roof program. So I have all that paperwork, and I have the paperwork from Operation Blue Roof. But the problem is, we just got a partial approval through FEMA, but getting a roofer out there at this point is very hard. I've had 2 no-shows. We've had 2 people that have said they're coming in the future, but that's the problem, is getting them there.
Okay.
It's been a steady battle with FEMA. It's been a steady battle with everybody. I mean, it's just very frustrating to be in my shoes. I don't have a claim in this property. It belongs to, like I said, it actually belongs to my son. My husband's name is only on there because he was a minor. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. I've called, I've tried to talk to them, I've done all kind of things, and then several people from the city of Deltona, actually, that I've talked to was talking about some kind of roof program that they have, but the money that we're getting from FEMA won't even take care of the 4 holes that are in my ceiling from the roof problem, where we did take the tarp down like he asked us to, and then right after that, we had to put another tarp back up because we knew the hurricane was coming. So the hurricane comes, rips the tarp off anyway, and drenches my whole entire middle part of the house. All 3 bedrooms, the kitchen, all. I had to replace the ceiling in, and I just finished the ceiling in the kitchen day before yesterday. It's a mess. I can't get anybody there to do it, and I'm trying. I'm doing the very best I can do. I don't know what else to do.
So I'm not familiar with the Blue Roof program, but you're saying this is not, is this intended to be just a temporary
It
fix?
lasts up to 364 days. They guarantee it for 364 days, and Julio Sosa actually put a recommendation on Facebook for it. That's in here, but what they do, yes, they come and they put all over your roof. And it is vinyl. It is not a tarp. He can take his ladder up there and check it out if he wants, but it's not a tarp.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes.
So it's
the
intended to
entire-
be essentially semi-permanent, I
Well,
guess, for a year,
Yes.
essentially?
Yes, because we're trying to get a roofer out there, but we've had several rainstorms after that, and not a drop of water came in the house, not one. And that was before I had the repairs done inside the house.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was what was most important. A branch came through the very back bedroom, and the hurricane just all the way through our house, actually blew our little attic cover off, went all the way through the house, through the middle of the house, not the, we have two side parts, but it didn't go through there, just, and in the very back of my house, took out a chunk of wall about this big, and it looks like Pac-Man pink stuff on my yard, but I guess you didn't go by there. And I'm not trying to make flippant remarks. I'm very frustrated, and I don't know what to do. I spend 90% of my time taking care of my husband because I can't afford to have a nurse. I have a nurse there now that I'm paying for to be here. And it's frustrating. We live on Social Security. It's not like I have another house somewhere that I can go to. This is our primary residence, and we're doing everything we can do to make it livable.
I appreciate you being here. I do, let me ask this. What do you believe would be a reasonable time to comply with repairing the roof? Because the city's requested 60 days.
But are you charging me every day for those 60 days?
No, so what would happen would be, I would say that you need to comply within those 60 days, and if you fail to comply by the end of that 60 days, that's when a fine would begin to run each day. So what I'm asking is, what do you believe would be a reasonable time for compliance to repair the roof?
I have a roofer coming in about 8 days, I think it's on my calendar, and depending on if he can do it or if he even shows up, I have another one that's coming like 17 days after. Yeah, 8 and 17 days from today, actually, because I was doing all the paperwork again, looking to see what the dates were, and that's,
okay.
I don't know, 60 days, they have to pull permits to do roofs and all that, and
yes.
So, but if I hire a plumber, no, I already got him, I already paid him, that's why I'm broke, but, sorry about this money. But I don't know how long it's gonna take to get permits pulled and does it have to be like completely done in 60 days or just prove that I'm being proactive with it? I mean, I don't understand.
It would be that you would have to obtain, yes, it would have to be completed within the time to.
And if they're in the middle of working on it at those 60 days, I can come back and say, hey, look, they're working on it, that's.
If I may.
Yeah.
We can work with it. As long as the permit is pulled and there's an intent of fixing the roof, I mean, the city is willing to work with her. When it comes to pulling a permit for a roof replacement, it doesn't really take that long. So it's not a long process. And the same thing for installing the roof itself. So the whole process, once they apply for the roof permit, it shouldn't take that long.
Yeah. I mean, would the city be amenable to 90 days?
We're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the city's okay.
Okay. I think I'll give some extra time, 90 days, but it does need to be repaired.
Yes, I know, and I want it repaired like yesterday, but
Yeah.
they don't work like on my schedule.
Understood. Okay, anything else before I make the ruling? No? Okay. Okay, I find respondent in this case in violation of the city code as charged, and that respondent correct the violation before 4:00 p.m. on February 18th, 2025, which would be 90 days. In the event that respondent does not comply by this date, a fine in the amount of $50 per day will be imposed for each day the violation continues past the aforestated date. Respondent is further ordered to contact the code compliance officer to verify compliance with this order. So please make sure you stay in contact with the code compliance officer and let him know when the roof is being repaired. And is both, I would say, when you've applied for your permit and when it actually gets completed, okay? For the record, I'm going to admit the case file in the PowerPoint today is into evidence, and I find the notices properly given in this case. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next case is DEL 24-081, 1510 Howland Boulevard.
My name is Nicholas Lopez. I'm employed by the City of Deltona as a code compliance officer. This will be case number DEL 24-081, the City of Deltona versus William Waldman. The property address is 1510 Howland Boulevard, Deltona, Florida 32738. The parcel ID number is 813-043-620-250. This is a violation of City of Deltona Ordinance, Section 110-803, which states that principal and accessory structures and related projections, including driveways and swimming pool decks, shall not be erected in platted easements unless the easement has been abandoned/vacated with Sections 58-32/58-37 of the City Code of Ordinances, Corrective action for said violation is to remove principal, accessory structures, and related projections from the platted easement. The statutory requirements of this hearing have been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code violation were sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the special magistrate clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day they were taken. On July 9th, 2024, a shed was observed in the easement. A notice of violation was posted. As of today, November 20th, 2024, the property is still in violation. The city would like to request 30 days for the property to come into compliance or a fine of $25 per day to be imposed until such time that the property owner has notified the city of compliance. And we do have a permit from Volusia County that I can submit to you as well.
Okay, yeah, so this case is now, come back several times?
This is the third time. Yes, ma'am.
Third time. So, as I've said before, my concern has been that I believe the testimony from Mr. Waldman has been that section of the house, well, and remind me, is this a shed or it was connected, right, to the home?
Yes, ma'am. This is a shed that was already on the property since 1990, and a portion of it, which is highlighted on the screen, is what was added.
It's not connected to the home.
It's not, okay. Okay, so that part was added in 1990, okay, and I think the testimony previously had been that portion of the property was there for many years. I'm not sure if it was before 1990, but anyway, all right, so what does the permit tell me?
So the permit tells you that the shed was built in 1990, it was approved in 1990, and it also shows the location of the shed and the easement.
Okay, so you're saying that it was approved even though it was in the easement?
It was approved even though, well, not the shed and the easement, it was approved outside and inside the property line. Does that make sense?
No, I'm confused. I
Ma'am,
thought you were telling me that the
Let me help you out real quick. On this one, what was permitted and approved was for a 24 by 20 workshop, and it was not approved to be in the easement.
And what's the size of what's actually installed? Is it bigger? Is that what you're saying?
It's much bigger, and it went into the easement. It looked like it was added later on, the portion that was in the easement.
The shed was approved to be within the property line boundary. The part of the shed that's a problem now is the part of the shed that's in the easement, which is added after the shed was permitted originally.
Okay. And we're not exactly sure, based on your research, you're not exactly sure when it was added, but
We're not sure when it was
after
added.
1990.
Correct. And if you need further clarification, it'd be this area right here.
Okay. Is it on the screen, is it the entire yellow highlighted area, or is that also showing me what was approved in 1990?
That's the yellow area that was added, approximately.
Okay. After 1990?
After 1990.
Okay, that's the new portion.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Is there, Mr. Waldman is here, I believe? Yes? Are you able to come up?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
That's why I sat here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
We can always bring the microphone over to you if you need to sit.
I'm okay now.
Okay.
Yeah, as we said at the beginning, this has been an ongoing situation. And if you can go, if you can go back, right, where that trailer is, that building, where it comes down, a little more to the right, please, right there. That was built with the house, when the house was originally built. In 1990, they got a permit to build from where that power point was to the right. And that was the permit that's here. And the permit does show that original building. It shows it coming down, and it shows that angle going down to the end of the property. And that was built before I got there. That was one of the selling points of me buying the house, because I had the extra storage. So that was built before Deltona even incorporated.
So, okay, your testimony is that the permit did cover the permit in 1990 did cover the addition of...
That was the addition, 1990. Mm-hmm. The original building was there in 1976, I believe, when they built the house.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble understanding what you're telling me. So are you saying that the original building was in that footprint and then it was then changed? I'm not quite understanding.
Right. The original building was built with the house in 1978, I believe. Mm-hmm. In 1990, the point where he had the PowerPoint dot to the right.
Can we go back to the screen, the aerial? Maybe that would help.
Well, I can't tell from that.
This is the building.
Right. Right below, okay.
This is the building, and then the part of it that protrudes is this area over here. It's difficult to see because property appraisers picture quality, but this is the part that's highlighted here. And on the survey within the permit from Volusia County, it shows that the shed is only permitted within the property boundary. There's no extension, and there's nothing on the permit about an extension on that shed.
The extension is the permit from 1990.
And, right, so your testimony, Mr. Waldman, is that the extension was permitted.
Correct.
Going beyond, is the red line, can we go back? Is the red line the property boundary?
That's considered general, but it's not exact, so
Sure.
we never go off of what the property appraiser's
Sure.
boundary is.
But so, are you telling me that the portion of the building actually extends beyond the property boundaries? Or it's within the property boundary within an easement?
The part that was permitted is within the property boundary, and then the part that was built extends further beyond that.
Right, so where's the easement? Is the easement within the boundary, the property boundary, or is it like a platted easement that is unopened?
Nick, do you have the permit?
Yes, sir.
Can you provide that to the special magistrate?
Can we take a look at the permit?
It does have.
Yeah, I see that there's a permit in here. Do you have the plat?
The plat?
There's a survey there that shows the structure as a 20 by 24, and it's within the property without not being in the easement. I'm not sure what page of the permit it is.
Well, this, the code violation you've cited is that it's in a platted easement. So do you have the plat to show the easement?
I don't have a plat, I just have the survey, and it shows the general location of the, not even general, it shows the location of the easement.
Okay.
And the shed's location.
Where's that?
So, would I be able to come up and show you?
Yes.
Okay.
This is a survey from 1990. This is the shed, right? This is the driveway. Over here, the apron. The shed is over here. This line, I believe. Mark, if I'm correct, that line would be the easement, correct? This one.
Drainage and utility easement.
Yes. So this was only permitted to be within the property line. Right. It's not an easement.
It's just the front, so it should be 6 feet. Is that 6? I can't see.
Yes, it's difficult to read.
There's a 12-foot,
12-foot easement.
no, 10-foot. And then this, and then, okay. Do we have, we can look up the plat. The address is
1510 Howard Boulevard.
Okay, this says that there is no plat. When it, because usually it will say, it has the subdivision name and it has the plat map, but this one is not platted.
Don't know. Give us a
So-
recess.
Okay, I will grant a 5-minute recess for the city to confer.
What's going on? What's going on?
So
So she can't use the survey?
there's no plat. So
Can I ask you a question?
No?
No, okay. So we can't use the survey? That's what we have.
I can answer that when we go back on the record.
How many times do we have to keep?
not for another date, not for another date. We're going to settle it today. I'm saying for a little later during this hearing.
Oh, you want to come back?
Yes.
Okay. I don't mind doing that if you'd like to come back this evening, but I'm not going to extend it again beyond tonight. I mean, I think we've
Understood. I
done
agree.
this 3 times now.
I agree.
So, okay. Do you need this paper back?
No, ma'am, that's your copy.
Okay. I think I did find it in the file now, so
Sir?
this is an extra.
This is your copy as well of the.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, sir, if you can just wait for a few moments, I'm going to do another case, and then we'll come back to this one. Okay?
We can do that.
Okay. So now do we have just these?
Yes, these are no shows.
Okay, but these are, they're present, yeah. Okay. All right, I have quite a few cases here. I guess before I call this, well, let me say, I'm not even sure how to call this. I have DL 23-277. These are all for 1200 Deltona Boulevard. DL 23-279. Fire 23-015. Fire 23-014. Fire 23-013 and Fire 23-016. Before we, I don't know who's presenting. Okay. Mr. Mead, you want to come up? So is this a request for a lien reduction, or are we doing Massey? Because this is under, usually these are, if it's a lien reduction, it's at the end of the agenda under other business. So I was confused about what I'm being asked to do for this case, these cases.
The property owners requested for a lien reduction.
Okay, so I've already done Massey cases or Massey orders on all of these?
Yes.
Okay.
All units, right?
Okay, I guess you're going to present one by one then?
I'm going to present, DL 23277 and DL 23279 A and B, and then Sam is going to present the other case, the fire cases.
Okay, and then fire will present the other ones. Gotcha. All right, go ahead, Mr. Mead.
Okay. This is a case that is presented to the Special Magistrate on November 29th of 2023, and again as a Massey in July 2nd of 2024. The case number is DEL 23277 Massey. The case was for a violation for no permit on a door that was placed on the property of Unit B. In Section 18-3, adopting the latest edition of Florida Building Code, Section 105.1. It was ruled that the property had 42 days to come into compliance before a fine would accrue at $25 per day. The property was not able to come into compliance until 250 days after the initial ruling. The property at that time had a total fine of $6,250. The city would like to recommend that the fine be reduced and remain that the property owner be responsible for the full amount. The city is recommending a reduction of 60 days on the time of compliance. This equals to 90 days of non-compliance, and reduce the fine down to $4,750. So that on DEL 23277, we're recommending that the
So
reduction.
it was, the total fine was what?
$6,250 on 250 days at $25 per day.
Okay. And what was your reasoning for reducing it to $4,750?
The property owner was given credit for 60 days as far as reducing the time to work, doing the constraints that he was under with the engineer and stuff, that he had problems that were beyond his control, so we reduced it down to 60 days off of the original amount of time it took to get the permit for the project. So we gave him that credit, and then so we reduced to 190 days total days of being non-compliance to the initial Massey ruling. So that allowed him to get the reduction down to $4,750, excuse me.
Okay. And what was it was just replacement of a door?
There was a rear door that was needing a permit because of just the replacement of the door, but the door also had been noted from a fire inspection that brought it and needed a permit because it was noted as a new door due to the past tenant that was in that building, unit 59.
Okay, is the property owner here?
Good evening, and
Go ahead.
my name is Morty Weissman. I live at 21323 Harold Court in Boca Raton, Florida. I want to thank everybody for giving us the chance to speak. I represent the owners of the property, which is actually an investment group of which the Weissmans, my family, own a great portion. And I want to say that we do not consider ourselves, the property, blameless for the violations and the fines, not this one, or for the other ones that are going to be brought up to discuss. So I guess I'd say for all of them, unless you want me to repeat this again.
Meaning that you're saying it was a tenant that
I couldn't hear him.
that did the...
I'm sorry, I have a hearing problem. I can't hear what she said.
Are you saying that a tenant was the one who actually did the work and committed the violation? Is that what you're telling me?
No, he's trying to explain to you his perspective on the case.
Yeah.
Letting you know that we're going to repeat this 6 times, or do you want him to say this once into the record for all 6 cases? Because it's...
Mike Mather is a property manager, and he's going to address each case individually.
Okay.
I just want to spend a few minutes to give you background to the property since we've owned it and our attitude about the property.
Okay, that's fine.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm saying if you want me to do it 6 times.
No, I don't need you to do it 6 times.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, the property is a business. for the investment. Just there's no question. But we do recognize that even though it's a business, we have a moral responsibility to the community, and we've demonstrated that. So at the time of COVID, I was contacted by a Ron Paradise and asked if we can use, the city can use our parking lot, which is a large parking lot and in a significant area, if it could be used for COVID testing. And we agreed to that, even though it tied up the parking lot and caused a lot of disruption. But obviously that was more important. More recently, a nonprofit organization called One Too Many that works with veterans who are suffering from PTSD was recommended to us by the city to ask if they could use our parking lot for a charitable event to raise money that they use and help veterans. And we agreed to it right away without hesitation, and just asked that it be situated so it doesn't disturb one or two of the tenants that are open on Saturday. Then another nonprofit organization called VEMA, which is veterans of, and it's run by veterans and retired policemen and firemen, wanted to rent some space from us for their meetings, and we were asked if we can do that at a reduced rate without requiring increases by doing some minor renovations with permits, and we agreed to that. Oh, I do want to say that, by the way, in the One Too Many event that took place, at the last moment it was discovered that there wasn't enough electricity for the sound stage that they had, and so the property owners paid for $1,700 for electricians to draw special lines. I'm trying to give you an idea of who we are, because we do have these violations, and we realize that we have to discuss them. Mike will address it. This VEMA group has now our tenants, I think they're moving in soon, and they themselves are holding an event in the parking lot with our permission, a charitable event for veterans who need support, not psychological support, but other types of monetary support, and we've allowed. So we know that we have to give back to the community, and we do, even though it's a business. Most recently, in the hurricane, we allowed the electric company to park a number of their trucks in the parking lot so they could provide emergency service to the homes that didn't have electricity. The other point I want to make is that since we've purchased the property, we've worked very hard to improve the property, improve the tenants in the property. We actually worked with the city to, there was an online gambling operation there, and for some reason the city was not able to get them evicted right away. There was some problems. We worked with the city, and the city eventually had their electricity cut, and so they moved out, but I believe we had to give permission to have the electricity shut off. We cooperated. There was a used furniture store, there was a used clothing store, there was a family dollar store, which caused a lot of disruption to the whole plaza and to the whole area. And we made deals with those stores to move out and improve the quality of the tenants. So now there's a nice restaurant called Mr. Chef there. The Motor Vehicle Bureau, or the Tax Collection Bureau, is located there. And and Northeast Florida Health. The health organization has a large installation there, large property there, and we encourage and are looking for such higher scale tenants. We've also done a number of improvements to the property since we purchased it. We painted the building, which is in need of painting. The parking lot was striped and resurfaced. We've done some significant landscaping. We've added LED lights, and we've improved the sewage. Now, Mike Mather will speak to the violations and to the extenuating circumstances. It's just my request that the magistrate grant significant reductions to the fines that have been imposed on us because of these extenuating circumstances, and because we have had other violations, which we have taken care of on time, and also because two of the violations were, I think it was two, that were caused by the tenant's actions. The violations came to us, or came to the owners of the property, of course, but the tenants did certain things, put in certain equipment, that's why the violation was issued. We had no knowledge. They didn't have our permission to do it, but they went ahead and did it.
Okay.
That's really, the rest is up to Mike, unless you have any questions for me.
No, thank you. I appreciate your testimony.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so on this specific one, so this is 23-277, and this was relating to a door that was installed without a permit. Did you want to provide any specifics about that?
What I would want to talk about with the appeal for reduction in fines is going to be kind of the same conversation regarding all 6 violations.
Okay.
So do you want to hear it once, or do you want to hear it 6 times? I mean, in perspective, we had this perfect storm of 6 violations, and it took some time to get them all corrected, a lot of juggling of time, resources, etc. So, for instance, this one probably fell to the lowest of importance from my perspective, but then, of course, became quite a fine. But my request, or my appeal to you and to the city, is kind of a blanket approach. So again, would you like me to just read it one time, or are we going to read this in, or do you want to have planning and fire present their cases and then I answer all at once?
Well, I mean, I suppose you can go ahead and give me, your testimony, but I'm not going to structure my recommendation to the City Commission as one blanket reduction.
Understood.
I have to apply factors in my recommendation, including, the gravity of the violation that we're talking about. So each one of them would be different.
Sure.
And so if you have only basically one thing one presentation to make, you can go ahead and do that, but just recognize that I'm not going to just add these all up and then do, make a across the board reduction in some way. I will have to apply the factors for each of the cases. So.
Okay. Well, why don't I, with your permission, I'll make my case, and then you can ask me questions regarding each individual item if you have further questions regarding each individual item. Would that work?
Yes.
Okay. For the record, my name is Michael Mather, and I'm the project manager and property manager for 1200 Deltona Boulevard. I reside at 2837 County Road 776 in Webster, Florida, 33597. You can tell I've done this before. Okay. So, Your Honor, while acknowledging that we were correctly notified for violation and bear responsibility, we respectfully ask for a fair and reasonable reduction of the fines for the following mitigating reasons. After conversations with Assistant Chief Sharon Shivers and Captain Samuel Schaller, we agreed that the usual allowance of 90 days for correction after magistrate hearing was possibly left lacking at 45 days. So we respectfully ask that all violations be recalculated and reduced by 45 days. At the violation hearings last year, I pleaded for a much longer time than was allotted for the following reasons. In previous filings for change of use, the fire department never required an engineer's report or a design by a professional in the field. After notification of the violations, but previous to the November hearings, I called Chief Shivers to ask to sit down with her to go over the 4 units involved to work with the required drawings for the change of use. This request was always honored in the past, and we were always able to satisfy the violations before fines occurred. She passed this request on to Captain Schaller, who at that time I hadn't known yet. I'm not sure when he joined the department, but he and I had not had much interaction prior to September of last year. And he responded that in writing, suggesting that if I was having difficulty, I would need to engage a professional. I, possibly incorrectly, interpreted this to be a no for assistance, and so we engaged a professional for the drawings and applications. I was very concerned that if I went to Chief Shivers to ask again for help, it might be looked upon as an unprofessional end around against Captain Schaller, and I didn't want animosity to arise in our working relationship. We have, over the last year, worked extremely well together. I'm proud to work with them and happy to work with them, and they've really come to our rescue several times. Anyhow, so we engaged a company to handle 4 of those violations at once. We wrote them a check for $8,400. They promised satisfactory results within weeks, but based on previous experiences, I asked the magistrate at the time for more time than was allowed, because in our experience, it never happens as fast as somebody suggests it might, and it never is as simple as it appears on the surface. This firm promised satisfactory results in a timely manner, and then held us essentially hostage for a period of greater than 4 months. At the end of that time, he submitted an application and designs that were completely incorrect and would not respond to our demands for him to correct them. In frustration, I then recontacted Chief Shivers, who sat down with me for a couple hours, and I hand drew and created acceptable and approved plan for all 4 change of use cases. What I'm trying to say is that had we just sat down in the beginning, as in the past, most, if not all, of these fines would not have been generated. In our experience over the last few years, there are no reliable and available professionals who are willing to take on these smaller jobs. I believe the Deltona Fire Department might even agree with the statement that there's just not anybody who does these change of use applications easily, swiftly, and at a reasonable price. We lost over 4 months of fines and $8,400 for this wasted effort and time, and so I'm appealing for that consideration. The second mitigating issue is that in many cases upon application and after violation hearings, it's made known to us that the units at issue had building and fire violations due to unpermitted work in the far distant past. So by far distant, I mean work allowed by previous owners in excess of 10 or 20 years ago. So these violations would only be discovered during inspections as a direct result of new tenants moving in and inspections required for these change of use permits. So these additional corrections require added time and significant money, and the process of successfully obtaining the change of use status that we are actually violated for. In other words, there's no way to succeed in getting the change of use and ending the violation without first satisfying any and all other newly discovered issues. Please, for the record, I want to state we do not suggest that we're unwilling to make these corrections, which include getting drawings, permits, inspections for non-permitted work done in the past. In fact, we applaud the city for finding these issues and insisting on safe corrective measures. We do, however, want those corrections and the time and cost related to them to be considered in our request for a reduction in fines. In summary, I want you to know that we understand the purpose of starting a violations procedure and the necessity of imposing fines, and we support the city's wish and responsibility for the continued safety of the tenants and the customers and public at large. But we appeal for a fair and reasonable reduction based on the quantity and complexity of those that we have cleared.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
On the first one, which is the 23-277 on the door replacement, was this one of the ones that you engaged the original engineering firm to help you with?
No, ma'am. That was one that we inherited. Somebody had replaced a door that was rusted and had not filed apparently a permit to do so. Quite honestly, in almost any other jurisdiction that I've worked in, replacing a door, a like door for a like door nobody's ever really gone to the mat with us requiring us to get a permit. So it was just, it was something that one of the fire marshals caught and notified us for. And it was, again, of the 6 violations, it was the one that concerned me the least in terms of getting things corrected for safety reasons. And so I follow my sword on that one. That one was the one that I least prioritized because of the safety concerns of the other ones. So.
Okay, so just to be clear, because when I asked Mr. Mead before, I asked what was the reasoning for reducing it from $6,250 to $4,750. The reasoning was there was an accounting for 60 days of working with an engineer, but you did not work with an engineer on this violation.
The engineer might have been an incorrect. We had to work with a general. Believe it or not, you have to have a general contractor in this case to apply to replace a door slab.
So you did work with the general contractor on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And
guess how much interest they had in working with us to getting a permit for a simple door. So it was just a protracted process.
All right. So you would agree that there was a 60-day, I guess, delay as a result of having to work with and find the general contractor?
At least.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I would agree with the recommendation that was made then on this one to reduce it to the $4,750 on that one. Okay, so moving on to the 22-279?
It should be DL 23-279A and B. It's
Okay.
for Unit 28, or 29, excuse me.
All right, so this is for the change of occupancy, and then there was a permit required for demolition of an interior wall. Can you remind me a little bit about this case?
Okay, this was, again, presented on the same time, November 29th, 2023, and then in July as a Massey. The demo wall needed a permit. It was discovered that the new tenant in Unit 29, Jackson Hewitt, had done a demo to the interior wall, and at fire inspection, it was then shared with the code department that we needed to address that with the property owner and property manager. We brought that to his attention. And then with the new occupant, that did require a change of occupancy permit as well. So we discussed over the time that they fell under the section 105 as needed a permit for both areas, and then in the addressing it, Massey case was given the 42 days to come into compliance, and it was $50 per day per violation, or $25 a day per violation with the 50. That included 24 days of non-compliance, and it led to a $12,000 total fines. The city would like to recommend, in this case, the fine be reduced and the property owner be responsible for the full amount. The city is recommending a reduction, again, of the 60 days of time to meet compliance. This equals to 180 days of non-compliance, and reduce that fine down to $9,000.
Okay, and sorry, so repeat that one more time. So it was how many days of
Initially,
non-compliance?
240 days.
240 days.
From the January 10th, final date of compliance, so for January 11th to the July, I believe it was in July or June that they got the permit. So they went 240 days, and we give them credit for 60 days of, to meet compliance, reduce the total days of non-compliance to 180.
Okay, and, okay, so then the change in occupancy was from what to what? This was not for a school, correct?
No, this was not for the school. This was, I don't know who was in there before Jackson Hewitt, but there was, I think a church.
It was a church.
Church.
A church to a
business, tax preparation business.
Okay.
So it would require the change of occupancy permit. But once they attain the permit for the demo wall, would also bring the change of occupancy to compliance as well. Because
Okay, and is the same reasoning applying here, that you're reducing it, well, in this case, you're reducing it by more than, 60 days. So is that the same reasoning?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
They had,
All right. Okay, I'm willing to make that recommendation then as well, so to reduce it for DEL 23-279A and B to the 180 days at $50, which would be $9,000.
May I just add that I would respectfully like to appeal for a little bit greater reduction on that particular unit for two reasons. A change of use from the church to business would not have been an overwhelmingly difficult task, but that unit, we were also cited for unpreviously discovered violations by a long, historically old previous owner. So it turned what should have been relatively simple into a fair amount more complex. This is also one of the cases that involved us having to possibly unnecessarily hire an architect engineer that added 120 days to the project, and in this case $2,100, which is a representation of a fourth of the $8,400 that we spent for him to unsuccessfully help us. And so we're just appealing for a little bit greater help on that, perhaps even if it was just that you would remove $2,100 worth of additional fines to resolve the fact that we took an unnecessary amount of expenditures for that engineer.
Okay, so that would be, if we were to consider 120 days of delay, that would put you then still at 120 days of non-compliance at $50, which would be $6,000.
That would be a big help.
So I am willing to make that recommendation on that one. So I will change that, what I just said, so I will go down to the $6,000.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, and then we go on to, I think, fire.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Appreciate it, sir.
And so this is fire 23-013.
Good evening, Your Honor.
Yes.
For the record, my name is Sam Schaller, employed by the City of Deltona as the Assistant Fire Marshal. I've gone ahead and prepared one blanket presentation for all four cases as well. Okay. However, I do provide a fee breakdown for each case, if that's okay.
All right.
Thank you. The property of 1200 Deltona Boulevard, Deltona, Florida 32725 has had several fire code cases in effect since September of 2023. There are a total of 4 fire code cases that have fines that remain on the property. Fire 2023-0013, Fire 2023-0014, Fire 2023-0015, and Fire 2023-0016. These cases were all initially presented to the Special Magistrate on September 27, 2023, and again as Massey cases on January 24, 2024. All 4 cases were for a violation of Chapter 42, Article 4, Fire Codes, Chapter 42-186, adopting the latest edition of the Florida Fire Prevention Code. Each case was given 30 days to comply until November 29, 2023. The frames and timeframes for compliance for each case are as follows. And Your Honor, would you like me simply to focus on Fire 2023-0013?
Yes, for the moment.
Yes, ma'am. Fire 2023-0013, a fine of $50 per day was imposed. This fine ran for 195 days, ran from November 30th, 2023 to June 12th, 2024. We have a total of $9,750 for this case. City staff is recommending reduction of 60 days in the time of compliance. So equal the total fine for this case. It would bring that fine down from $9,750 to $6,750. City has taken account fire department staff into this case, which was approximately $5,010.51.
So your staff costs were $5,000. What was that? Can you repeat that?
$5,010.51.
Okay, and that was just for 23-013 or for all of them together?
I do have the cost broken down per case. That would be just for that case.
Okay. All right, Mr. Mathers or Mather? Mather. Did you want to say anything about this one in particular?
Yeah, Captain, I'm sorry. Which property, which unit, which suite was that for?
This is for Suite 50. The 2 violations were change of occupancy. It had been converted into a school. The other violation was operating a school without a fire alarm system installed.
Okay, so in this case, we would hope an appeal to be considered for the $2,100 that we spent erroneously on that engineer for an unsuccessful application, or increase the number of days credit to 120 days as in the last one. So this is the second of 4 total that we use this engineer for unsuccessfully.
Okay, but this case, this one is the change of occupancy for the school, correct?
Correct.
Yes, Your Honor.
And there was no fire alarm system at the time?
Correct, Your Honor.
Yeah, so I think I will accept the recommendation from staff to reduce it by the 60 days to $6,750. I'm not going to reduce it more. I think the violations were pretty severe in this particular case, in this particular violation. So I'm not going to reduce it any further than that for this one.
I would respectfully state, though, that the alarm was in place. It just didn't have a final inspection.
Okay.
So the alarm was in place right from the beginning, but I just say that respectfully. So.
Okay. I'm not going to change the ruling I just made on that one.
Yes, ma'am.
And also based on the high amount of staff costs that staff incurred on that one as well. So. Okay, for 23-014.
Yes, Your Honor. This was a violation of the same section of City Code as the previous case that we discussed, Chapter 42, Article 4, Fire Codes, Chapter 42-186, adopting the latest edition of the Florida Fire Prevention Code. Property owner was given 30 days to comply. They were initially heard on September 27, 2023. They were given until November 29th, 2023 to comply. They did not comply by that date. They were out of compliance from November 30th, 2023 until June 12th, 2024. 195 days for a total of $9,750. City is recommending reduction of 60 days on the timeframe for compliance, which would bring the total fine down to $6,750. This violation was, this case was essentially identical to the previous case that was heard. It was the neighboring suite. They had a educational occupancy. It moved in. There was no fire alarm system provided as well, so it's the same two violations.
All right, yes, and so this was just different suites in the building.
Correct, Your Honor.
Is this suite 51?
This is suite 51.
Okay.
All right. And then did you have staff costs for me on this one?
Yes, I did, Your Honor. This one was also at approximately $5,000.
Okay. All right, Mr. Mather, what would you like to tell me on that one?
Well, I'd like to make the same appeal, Your Honor. I mean, for some relief from the lost engineer's fees.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to stick with the same recommendation on this particular one for the same reasons that I previously stated. Going on to 23-015.
Yes, Your Honor. Fire 2023-0015. This was located at 1200 Deltona Boulevard, Suites 52 through 56, Deltona, Florida 32725. This was initially presented to the Special Magistrate on September 27, 2023, and again as a Massey case on January 24, 2024. This case was also a violation of Chapter 42, Article 4, Fire Codes, Chapter 42-186, adopting the latest edition of the Florida Fire Prevention Code. The violator was given 30 days to comply until November 29, 2023. They failed to come into compliance by that date and incurred a fine of $100 per day from November 30th, 2023 till July 10th, 2024 for a total of 223 days, which equals a total fine of $22,300, apologies. City staff is recommending a reduction of 60 days on the time of compliance, which would bring the total fine down to $16,300.
Okay, so remind me, now this one is, this one is also the same violations on the change of occupancy?
Yes, Your Honor. In this suite, Suite 56, we had a change of occupancy to a school without a permit. We had a door that was installed between Suite 55 and 56, which is a fire-rated wall, without a permit that was issued. We had a fire alarm system had been installed, but the fire alarm contractor let the permit expire. And then we also had some issues with emergency lighting located in the suite, non-functional as well.
Okay. So they were essentially the same violations?
Essentially the same. The difference is in this case, we had the additional work that was conducted without a permit and the emergency lighting fixtures that weren't functional as well.
Okay. And then do you have staff costs on this one?
Yes, Your Honor. This case as well ran approximately at $5,000.
All right. Mr. Mather, what would you like to tell me on this one?
Well, I'm hoping for a little relief on this one. Some or all of the rest of the engineering costs. The fire department costs are a little less, so maybe there's a little bit of room to give on this one.
Okay, so this one, this one is also one of the ones you worked with the architect on?
Yes.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that was 120 days of delay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it was, did you say it was 230 days of noncompliance?
223.
223. Okay, so that would be, if I were to, I think, so that would be, if I did that right, 10,300.
That would be very helpful, ma'am. I appreciate it.
The reduction to 10,300. City, do you have any response to that?
How did we get down to 10,000? I'm sorry.
If we had 223 days of noncompliance, and then you subtract 120 days from that, due to delays that they incurred, that would be 103 days of noncompliance. And at $100 per day, it was $100 per day for this one, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
That would be $10,300. So I'm just asking if the city has a specific response or objection to that. I'm inclined to make the recommendation to go down to the $10,300 on that one.
I'm sorry, I just had to sidebar. I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I'm just asking if you have any specific response or concern about reducing it to the $10,300 based on how I just described how I got there.
So essentially then we're giving them 120 extra days on top of the 60 that we also provided. Is that correct?
No, it was 223 days of noncompliance, correct?
Correct.
And so I just reduced that by 120. It's not on top of the 60 that you recommended. It's just, so it would be an extra 60.
An extra 60. Okay, gotcha.
So that's how I got there to the 10,300. So if you have any specific objection or response, that's what I'm trying to hear.
I am not opposed. Again, we were looking for compliance in this case. So.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
I will make that recommendation. Again, the staff costs here were $5,000, so I do feel that there is, the city would recoup that cost, and then there is still a penalty that's being imposed. So I will go down to the $10,300. On that one. All right, last one. We have Fire 23-016.
Fire 23-0016, located at 1200 Deltona Boulevard, Suite 57/58, Deltona, Florida 32725. This case was initially presented to the Special Magistrate on September 27, 2023, and again is a Massey case on January 24, 2024. This case was also a violation of Chapter 42, Article 4, Fire Codes, Chapter 42-186, which adopted the latest edition of the Florida Fire Prevention Code. Property owner was given 30 days to comply after the initial hearing until November 29, 2023. Property owner did not come into compliance on that date. They came into compliance on April 5, 2024. Therefore, the fine of $50 per day ran for 127 days for a total of 6,350 days. The city is recommending that this fine be reduced to staff's cost of $3,800 as opposed to the initial outstanding case, the initial outstanding fine for this case, which is $6,350.
Okay, so it's reduced to staff's cost is $3,350?
$3,800, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, $3,800?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right.
In terms of uniformity, staff would have liked to also recommend this case be reduced by 60 days. However, reducing it any further than what I just stated the 60 days reduction would actually cost us to have to bite the city's cost in this case as well, or incur those costs upon us.
Understood. Okay. And then what was the violations in this one were for?
It was for a boiler room in disrepair and damage to the fire-rated tenant separating wall, separating the dry cleaner and the adjacent restaurant.
Okay. All right, Mr. Mather.
We are grateful for this compromise. We're satisfied.
Satisfied to reduce it to staff's costs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I will make that recommendation.
Thank you, ma'am.
To reduce to staff costs at $3,800.
Thank you.
Okay. I believe that's all of them.
Yes, Your Honor.
I hope you never see my face again.
Yes, likewise. And I do, it sounds like, you had difficulty with trying to come into compliance, but certainly appreciate the efforts that you did make, so.
Appreciate it. We learned a lot. It's a steep learning curve, but we're now going to be your best tenants. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Oh, and I will say, though, before you go, Mr. Mather, before you go, just a reminder, this is a recommendation, right? So the city commission does have the final say on what reduction you'll receive, if any. But I will make my written recommendation to them, and then just make sure you stay in contact with staff to know when that's going to be on the city commission agenda.
And that's a no-speak agenda, correct?
Well, I don't, actually, that would be a question for Mr. Ron. When you place the recommendations for lien reduction requests on the city commission agenda, are they typically under consent, or where do you place them?
They are on consent.
You're under consent, but keep in mind that the city commission can always remove an item from consent to discuss them.
Of course.
So, all right?
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. All right. Okay. Mr. Waldman. We'll go back to that case, and I intentionally wanted to keep that lien reduction case as the last one. I'm sorry, I apologize you had to sit through that. I tried to avoid that. So.
You want me to stand up here?
No, I got it.
You sure?
Yeah.
Just let me know.
All right. So we left off with my question, and I mean, I believe that I have the ability as a special magistrate to take judicial notice of officially recorded documents, and in which a plat would be. And in this case, at least what I could find was that there is no recorded plat. So what can you tell me?
So the survey that we have here, we have a recent survey as of 2020. This is considered a plat. We looked up what a plat is online, and a plat essentially is a survey. And this describes where the shed is, it gives detail on the easement, and it does show that the shed extends out into the easement.
So your argument is that a plat is essentially the same thing as a survey?
That's what we found when we looked it up, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I disagree. A plat is not the same as a survey. A plat is an actual, you actually lay out a subdivision, and there may be dedicated easements within that. I don't know what the origin of this easement is. The survey does not even show where, where this easement is recorded. It doesn't even give a...
We have another survey here that can show you where the easement is, ma'am. One that I can submit into the record.
Okay, if you want to show me this one that I already have.
This is a newer one.
All right, you want to bring it forward?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so it still shows a public easement, but it doesn't show me, so an easement would typically be, it would have an ORB book and page. It would tell you where it's recorded. It doesn't even show that.
Let's go ahead and withdraw this case.
Okay. I mean, If you're going to withdraw it, that's fine.
Let's withdraw this case.
Okay.
Mr. Walker, did you need help outside? Do you need help getting outside?
All right, so the case is withdrawn. The city's withdrawing the case, so I'm not going to make a ruling on it.
Okay.
All right? Thank you, Mr. Waldman. Wait, is that the right? Yes. No, this is, yes, this is, okay. Here. Yeah, okay. Okay. We have DEL 24-091, Massey case, 1540 Gainesville Drive.
My name is Nicholas Lopez. I'm employed by the City of Deltona as a code compliance officer. This will be Massey case number DEL 24-091, Massey, the City of Deltona versus Francisco Brito and Freddie Nancy Brito. The property address is 1540 Gainesville Drive, Deltona, Florida 32725. The parcel ID number is 813-072-260-010. The statutory requirements for the notification of this hearing have been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code violation sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the special magistrate clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day they were taken. It was ruled on September 25th, 2024, that the property owner was given 30 days to comply. The owner did not come into compliance within those 30 days and has been receiving a fine of $50 a day since October 27th, 2024. As of today, the property has incurred a total fine of $1,250 over 25 days. The city is requesting that the fines continue at $50 per day. The city has decided to move forward with apologies. Disregard that.
Okay. I'm sorry, can you repeat the amount that has accrued up to date?
Accrued $1,250 over 25 days.
Okay, thank you.
And the city is requesting that the fines continue at 50 per day.
Yes, at 50 per day. All right, thank you. And then these are these pictures from today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Remind me, so this was for the shed being in disrepair.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that just a door being open, or I'm having trouble seeing what's still in disrepair. Can you point that out?
The door is unhinged and it has a material that it's not considered appropriate for the building. Forgive me.
Is that what the picture number 3 I'm looking at? That is.
Yes, ma'am. The tarping material that they put up, and then can you switch to the first picture and the today photos? Yes, the first picture for today. So the shed is actually starting to lean. It's actually a hazard in itself. It's starting to completely decay, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, a few more hurricanes it comes down.
Okay.
It's sitting on plywood. It's difficult to see because of the picture quality, but it's sitting directly on plywood at this point, pretty much, and the wood is completely starting to rot and chip away.
Okay, thank you. It was just difficult to see in the picture. All All right, I find that respondent in this case failed to correct the violation by the time specified in special magistrate's prior order in this case, and the fine will be imposed as set forth in that order, and will continue to run until the property is brought into compliance and an affidavit of compliance has been filed by the code compliance officer. Respondent shall notify the code compliance officer to verify compliance. I am admitting the case file in the PowerPoint as exhibits into evidence, and I find the notices were properly given in this case. Thank you. This is DEL 24-094, Massey case, 1371 Comer Wood Drive.
My name is Nicholas Lopez. I'm employed by the City of Deltona as a code compliance officer. This will be Massey case number DEL 24-094, the City of Deltona versus Lonaria T. Bankston. The property address is 1371 Commerwood Drive, Deltona, Florida 32728. The parcel ID number is 813-038-110190. The statutory requirements for notification of this hearing have been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code violations sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibit and submitted to the special magistrate clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed in the day they were taken. It was ruled on September 25th, 2024, that the property owner was given 30 days to comply. The owner did not come into compliance within those 30 days and has been receiving a fine of $25 a day since October 29th, 2024. As of today, the property has accrued a total fine of $575 over 23 days. The city is requesting that the fines continue at $25 per day.
All right. And so and this is a case with a fence in disrepair, and is this just one panel that's like remaining standing and the rest of it is down, or?
Yes, ma'am. So they have the one panel down, and as you can see in the first photograph, if we go back to the first photo, the panel is distinct. You can see that the panel is down, and if we go to the today photo, please pan back. The panel, it's difficult to see, but that's the best photo that I can get today without trespassing. The panel is completely covered at this point, and it's difficult to see, but it is laying down there still, and they haven't fixed it.
Okay. And then the one that is standing, is that one also, I mean, that's also needs to come down because it's just one that's remaining, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Yes, okay. I find respondent in this case failed to correct the violation by the time specified in the special magistrate's prior order in this case, and the fine will be imposed as set forth in that order and will continue to run until the property is brought into compliance and an affidavit of compliance has been filed by the code compliance officer. Respondent shall notify the code compliance officer to verify compliance. I'm admitting the case file and in PowerPoint as exhibits into evidence, and I find the notices properly given in this case. Thank you. This is DEL 24-102, 2603 Collingswood Drive. Good evening. Is this your first case?
Of today, yes.
Oh, you poor soul. All right, so go ahead.
Hi, my name is Janice Balasic, and I am employed by the City of Deltona as a code compliance officer. This will be case number DEL 24-102, the City of Deltona versus Thomas W. Rivera, Jr. The property address is 2603 Collingswood Drive. The parcel ID number is 813-032-660-050. This is a violation of the City of Deltona Ordinance, Section 18-3, adopting the latest edition of the Florida Building Code, Section 105.1, which states that any owner, authorized agent who intends to construct, enlarge, alter, repair, move, demolish, or change the occupancy of a building or structure, or to erect, install, enlarge, alter, repair, remove, convert, or replace any electrical, gas, mechanical, or plumbing system, the installation of which is regulated by this code, or to cause any such work to be done, shall first make application to the building official and obtain the required permit. Corrective action for said violation is obtain permit for the single-family residence. The statutory requirements for notification of this hearing have been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code violation were sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted on the property and at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the special magistrate clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day that they were taken. This case was opened on August 21st, 2024 for an expired single-family resident permit, which had expired on August 12th, 2024. I posted a notice of violation onto the structure. I also spoke with the property owner, Thomas Rivera, and explained to him that the permit had expired for the home he was building, which is not yet finished. I informed him that he needed to contact the city to reapply for the permit. On November 1st, 2024, after confirming that the permit was still expired, I posted a notice of hearing onto the structure. An affidavit of service was also completed. As of today, November 20th, 2024, the property is still in violation. The city would like to request 30 days for the property to come into compliance or a fine of $50 per day to be imposed until such time that the property owner has notified the city of compliance.
Okay. I guess my only question on the time frame, if the permit is expired, do you anticipate they're going to have to do like whole new plans? You know, that's my only concern.
They're going to have to reapply completely. They're going to have to get all new plans, engineer letters, surveys. They're basically going to have to start from scratch.
Okay. Well, I don't.
Let me add this also. We did talk to the building official on this particular case, and his recommendation was 30 days.
I don't see how 30 days would be sufficient to obtain entirely new set of drawings.
The initial permit started back in 2020. He's been given extensions numerous times. I have the history of the building permit. If you'd like, I could admit that to you. It's lengthy. They highlighted all the areas where he reapplied, and they gave him extensions.
Well, I mean, again, if they're starting over, I mean, my responsibility is to provide a reasonable time to comply. And your testimony is they're going to be basically starting over with their drawings. I don't believe 30 days to be sufficient. So I'll find a violation, but I'm going to order 60 days.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay. All right. I'm going to find respondent in this case in violation of the city code as charged, and that respondent correct the violation before 4:00 p.m. on, this is actually 61 days, but it's January 20th, 2025. In the event respondent does not comply by the state, a fine in the amount of $50 per day will be imposed for each day the violation continues past the aforestated date. Respondent is further ordered to contact the code compliance officer to verify compliance with this order. I'm admitting the case file and PowerPoint as exhibits into evidence, and I find the notices properly given in this case. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this is DL 24-103, 1377 Comerwood Drive.
My name is Nicholas Lopez. I'm employed by the City of Deltona as a code compliance officer. This will be case number DEL 24-103, the City of Deltona versus Ruth Alicia. The property address is 1377 Commerwood Drive, Deltona, Florida 32738. The parcel ID number is 813-038-110-180. This is a violation of City of Deltona Ordinance Section 18-5, adopting the latest edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, Section 302.7, which states all accessory structures, including detached garages, fences, and walls, shall be maintained and kept in good repair and sound structural condition. Corrective action for said violation is to repair or remove the fence. The statutory requirements for notification of this hearing have been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code violation were sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the special magistrate clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed in the day they were taken. On April 16th, 2024, a fence was observed in disrepair at the aforementioned property. A door hanger was hand-delivered. As of today, November 20th, 2024, the property is still in violation. The city would like to request 30 days for the property to come into compliance or a fine of $25 per day to be imposed until such time that the owner has notified the city of compliance.
Okay, is this a picture from today with the fence falling down? Or, sorry.
So there's multiple things going on at this property.
Okay.
They have the vinyl fencing in the front that they haven't finished completing to repair it. And then they also have fencing that's damaged in the rear yard of the property. So that's the vinyl fencing that they haven't.
Oh, I'm sorry, can you go back to that? All right, so basically there's a section that's missing?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
They haven't completely installed the rest of the fencing there.
Okay.
This is no longer, this part of the fence is no longer like this. They did lift it, but there are still other parts of the fence seen in the today photos that still do look in disrepair. So that's at the corner abutting 1371 Commerwood Drive, which is their neighbor, and they do have fence panels, fence pickets down, and that corner is still in disrepair.
Okay, thank you. I find respondent in this case in violation of the city code as charged, and that respondent correct the violation before 4:00 p.m. on December 20th, 2024. In the event respondent does not comply by the state, a fine in the amount of $25 per day will be imposed for each day the violation continues past the aforestated date. Respondent is further ordered to contact the code compliance officer to verify compliance with this order. I'm admitting the case file and PowerPoint as exhibits into evidence, and I find the notices properly given in this case. Thank you. All right, this is case DEL 24-105, 1072 Lamplighter Avenue.
My name is Nicholas Lopez. I'm employed by the City of Deltona as a code compliance officer. This will be case number DEL 24-105, the City of Deltona versus Perch Investments, LLC. The property address is 1072 Lamplighter Ave, Deltona, Florida 32725. The parcel ID number is 813-011-560-100. This is a violation of City of Deltona Ordinance, Section 37-8B, which states that a secure manner shall include but not be limited to the closure and locking of windows, doors, gates, and other openings of such size that may allow a child or adult to access the interior of the property or structure. Broken windows, doors, gates, or other openings of such size that may allow a child or adult to access the interior of the property or structure must be repaired. Broken windows shall be secured by reglazing of the windows, and broken or damaged doors shall be secured by newly installed doors. Boarding of windows and or doors shall not be permitted except as temporary emergency security measures. Corrective action for said violation is to remove boards from windows and or doors, repair or replace, obtain a permit if necessary. The statutory requirements for notification of this hearing have been met by the notice of hearing and notice of code violation were sent certified mail to the property owner at the address listed with the property appraiser's records. In addition, both notices were posted at City Hall at least 10 days prior to this hearing. All of the evidence in this case, including the photographs, have been marked as exhibits and submitted to the Special Magistrate Clerk. I certify any and all photographs to be true and accurate portrayals of what I observed on the day they were taken. On September 15th, 2024, boarded windows were observed at the property. A door hanger was left as a residence. As of today, November 20th, 2024, the property is still in violation. The city would like to request 30 days for the property to come into compliance or a fine of $25 per day to be imposed until such time that the property owner has notified the city of compliance.
Okay, I have some questions. On this 37-8 of the code, it says that it's properties subject to these sections shall be maintained in a secure manner so as not to be accessible to unauthorized persons. The properties that are subject to these sections are the properties that are in distress, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this property distressed? The definition of distressed is in 37-4. It means any real property, any real property located in the city that one has had a lease pendants filed against it by the mortgagee or is subject to an ongoing foreclosure action by the mortgagee, or the mortgage has been declared to be in default, or 2, is subject to an application for a tax deed or pending tax assessor's lien sale, or 3, has been transferred to the mortgagee under a deed in lieu of foreclosure, or 4, has been the subject of a foreclosure sale where title is retained by the mortgagee or related party.
So I assume this property has a lien on it, or it's going through some kind of foreclosure. Is that what you're implying?
I'm asking you whether that's the case. I mean,
to my
an assumption
understanding
is not sufficient. So, I mean, if you'd like me to continue it so you can research that.
We can continue it.
Okay. I mean, that's my question, is whether or not this property qualifies as distressed under the anti-blight ordinance, which is what this ordinance is intended to address, is, basically properties that are foreclosed and, they're not being maintained.
We can go ahead and continue this case. That's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
we'll continue this one to the next. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, is that the last one? All right. Do we have anything else to address before we adjourn? Nope. All right, we'll go ahead and adjourn. Thank you.